The 2024 NFL Draft is just over a week away. And on this edition of Ravens Rundown, we will go over my latest mock draft for all 7 rounds for your Baltimore Ravens, coming up in just a matter of moments. Little game for the flock before we get things started. How many Ravens first-round picks can you name all time? I want to see how many you can come up with dating back to the very start of this franchise. Let me know in the comment section. Let's see who can come up with the most when we get started with today's show. Let's begin setting the scene with the Ravens draft order. They have a first-round pick at 30, a second-round pick at 62, third-round pick at 93. So that's 3 picks within the top 100. Pretty solid there. Then you go to the 4th round at 113, followed by another 4th-round pick at 130, and then you wrap up with a 5th-round pick at 165, a 6th-round pick at 218, and 2 7th-round picks at 228 and at 250. So all in all, the Ravens have 9 picks to work with in these 7 rounds. We'll mock every single one of them here on today's show. The team needs for the Ravens, pretty obvious, right? This team's close, but they have some glaring things they need to shore up. They need help on the offensive line. They could use another edge rusher. Can never have too many pass rushers, right? Still trying to replace Jadeveon Clowney there. Need some help at the corner spot, also at wide receiver and at safety. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we can to try to take care of these needs, but we won't ignore when the best player is available at times too. So with that, let's set the scene for you before the Ravens pick at 30. Here are the last 5 picks. The Packers go with Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle from Illinois. Darius Robinson, defensive end from Mizzou, goes to the Bucs. Jordan Morgan, the offensive tackle from Arizona, goes to the Cardinals, while Adonai Mitchell goes to the Bills out of Texas, and Chop Robinson, the edge rusher out of Penn State, goes to the Lions. And so, as you could probably tell, we're not looking good for the possibility of getting one of those offensive tackles. We've talked a lot about Tyler Guyton on this program, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma, Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle from Georgia, Jordan Morgan. All those guys are gone. And this is kind of the worst-case scenario for the Ravens because we all have been saying for weeks on end the expectation is draft an offensive lineman, an offensive tackle, specifically with that first-round pick. Well, those guys have all seen their stock rise. All of a sudden, they're gone. We got to switch things up and go with a different game plan. So what do we do now if you're the Ravens? Here's the best available for their pick with the board, the way it's shifted here. Cooper DeJean is still on the board out of Iowa. That wasn't expected, but he's certainly a player the Ravens would be interested in. Enos Rakestraw Jr., the corner from Mizzou. Kool-Aid McKinstry, corner from Bama. So still some good corners. And then still some good wide receivers. Xavier Worthy from Texas. Ladd McConkey, the standout from the Senior Bowl from Georgia, also on the list. So, that said, the pick is in. Dun, 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 dun. With the 30th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Xavier Worthy, wide receiver out of the University of Texas. The eyes of Texas are upon you all the livelong day. The eyes of Texas are upon you. Xavier Worthy, welcome to Baltimore. That's how it goes, right? We'll tell you more about Xavier Worthy and why I have the Ravens going with Worthy in this situation in just a bit. But first, let's ask you, what do you think? Should the Ravens select Xavier Worthy? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Folks, I am so excited that Derrick Henry is a member of the Baltimore Ravens, and I got good news for you. If you're looking for Derrick Henry gear, we got it on sale for you right now. Look, we got Mother's Day coming up, Father's Day after that. Get mom or dad or a loved one, maybe even just spoil yourself with some brand new Derrick Henry gear. We got the jerseys. We got the shirtsy, all sorts of different stuff to choose from. Go to chatsports.com/KingHenry to get your Derrick Henry gear today while supplies last. This stuff is going hot. You got to get it now. Chatsports.com/KingHenry to get Derrick Henry gear right now. More on Xavier Worthy, the number 5 receiver on Mel Kiper Jr.'s big board, and he broke the record for the fastest 40 time in the history of the NFL Draft Combine, a 4.21. He's got some speed, some wheels, folks. Played for the University of Texas the last few seasons. Two-time first-team All-Big 12 selection. The Big 12's Offensive Freshman of the Year back in 2021. Great speed, as you could probably tell when you run a 4.21. That's no joke, right? A primary deep threat. So he would be a nice opposite to Zay Flowers on the other side. Explosiveness, twitchy and controlled. Good route running with quick feet, loose hips. Hips don't lie. Skinny frame. The one knock of sorts when it comes to Xavier Worthy that does have a concern, he does have some careless drops in the open field. So that's something he'll have to monitor, take care of. But otherwise, Xavier Worthy passes the smell test. The numbers from Xavier Worthy. This past season with the Longhorns, who made their way to the college football playoff, won the Big 12 Conference this year, he was a huge reason why. With over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 13.5 yards a reception. Xavier Worthy, as the kids say, he is him. Let's go to the second round now, and that's where we find the Ravens getting their offensive tackle they were looking for. Washington offensive tackle Roger Rosengarten with the 62nd overall pick. The number 8 offensive tackle on Kuiper's big board, a second-team All-American selection this past year with the Washington Huskies. Played against Xavier Worthy in the college football playoff where the Huskies ended up winning that game and going to the national championship game. And you look at the numbers that we'll get to here in just a bit. Let's go to the scouting report first on Roger Rosengarten. He's a pretty fascinating prospect. He snaps out of his stance. Like when that ball is snapped, boom, he's right out of the gates firing, going after defenders. Fluid and rangy pass protector. He closes space in a hurry. This is a quick-moving offensive lineman. He keeps rushers guessing. They don't know what he's going to do next. Now, his knock, which I actually like, if I'm going to be honest, is that he needs to reel in the aggressiveness a bit, that he kind of gets a little out of control at times. I can work with that. I'd rather tone you down a bit than not have you be aggressive enough. To me, that's fine. That is manageable when it comes to Roger Rosengarten. The numbers, according to PFF, he does need some work to do when it comes to his run blocking grade. A grade near 59 last year. But his pass blocking, very solid. 80.8, overall grade 71. And the most important figure that stands out of all of that you see on your screen right there, how many sacks? Zero. Whatever you use for your language to describe zero, it was zero for Roger Rosengarten there with the Washington Huskies. We go to the third round now. That is where we find our corner. We know that the Ravens are going to need some corner help, and that's where we pick up Cam Hart with the 93rd overall selection. And this is somebody that is a native of Baltimore. It'd be a homecoming for Cam Hart as he attended Our Lady of Good Counsel High School. And you talk about an athlete, Cam Hart. And we know that John Harbaugh loves the athletes, right? The Athletic listed him on their freaks list as 32nd overall. So don't worry about, we're not messing with those spare dog at Steelers. And he's not some Sperry psycho. He's a freak. He's an athletic freak of nature, right? At 32nd overall. His scouting report, a long strider with good top-end speed, smooth and controlled back pedal, which is exactly what you want to hear about a cornerback. Physical when tackling wide receivers. Not afraid to make contact. He drives his feet and runs through his targets. The knock on him, bad eyes. Maybe he just needs some prescription glasses like me or something. Gambles a bit too much at times, but nonetheless, I can work with that. The numbers from Cam Hart. You can see more the lockdown corner type, not one to get a ton of turnovers, with no interceptions in each of the last 2 seasons. Did have 2 interceptions back in 2021, but here's where it gets impressive. The numbers last year, they only threw at him 28 times the entire season in 12 games. That's what I mean as far as the lockdown type, right? Only allowed 137 yards, no touchdowns, 4 pass breakups, a QB rating of 67.1. Cam Hart, fascinating prospect. I am intrigued by this idea. Who's a player the Ravens should draft? We've already gone through 3 names. I got plenty more to get to here in just a second, but I want to know who's the player you want to see the Ravens draft next week. Let us know in the comment section below. For the most elite Ravens draft coverage you're going to find, that's even more elite than Joe Flacco, it's right here on Ravens Rundown by Chad Sports. Subscribe now. We are going to be all over it next week as we bring you Ravens draft coverage like no one else will. The latest happenings on your favorite team each and every day. We got some great draft updates. We are your Ravens off-season headquarters right here on Ravens Rundown. We just hit 16,000 subscribers, and we're not slowing down there. YouTube.com/RavensTV. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Let's go to the fourth round, and that's where we get our safety help we need, and select Georgia safety Tykee Smith with the 113th overall pick in the fourth round. And the thing I like about Smith, good awareness and vision, which is exactly what you want to hear when you're talking about a safety. He's got good eyes all over the football field. Staying in the fourth round with our second fourth-round pick, we go Rock Chalk Jayhawk as we get some help at the outside linebacker spot and go with Austin Booker with the 130th overall pick. And the thing I like about Austin Booker, you guys know me. I went to the University of Kansas. I've seen a lot of Austin Booker over the last few years. And he's got impressive movement. He's a guy that's still figuring it out, putting it together, right? And so when it comes to the NFL draft, a lot of it is drafting for potential. This is somebody with a high ceiling that is well on his way, that has not peaked. His peak performance, he hasn't even come close to yet. So I think the Ravens are the perfect situation to potentially develop Austin Booker to be that big-time playmaker that he could potentially be. The fifth round, we go defensive end. That's where we find Texas Tech's Myles with the 165th overall pick. And this is a guy that's physical. He's physical at the point of attack. And when we talk Ravens defense, we think physical, right? He would fit right in what the Ravens are trying to do. We still need some help on the offensive line. We took care of a tackle. Now let's go to the interior of the offensive line. That's where we find Illinois center/guard Julian Pearl with the 218th selection. And I like this for the Ravens, that you have some flexibility. Look, Tyler Linderbaum's your starting center, obviously. Maybe the best center in the entire league. But with Pearl, whether I have him back up Linderbaum or compete for one of those starting guard spots, I like what I can do, move him around and see where he fits in best. And this is a big fella. He's got a 7'1" wingspan. This guy, he could probably dunk a basketball, okay? I mean, and as big as he is, he's only going to get bigger as time goes on. So that, to me, is fascinating to talk about. You talk about trying to keep defenders away from you within arm's length and all that. He's going to be moving bodies, I can tell you that much. We'll go to the seventh round. This is where we find our running back, because here's the running back situation for the Ravens. Yes, you have Derrick Henry. Keaton Mitchell, probably not going to be ready when the season begins, and you're going to need another back in that backfield. We're going with Rasheen Ali out of Marshall at 228. And this is a guy that spins away from tacklers, right? He is a menace for opposing defenses, and I think this could be a sneaky good find for Baltimore there in round 7, a guy that I think would easily make the 53-man roster. Then we go to the 7th round. We stay in the 7th round, rather, and we get help at the inside linebacker position. Patrick Queen's gone. Trenton Simpson gets promoted. Still needs some depth there. That's where we find Temple inside linebacker Jordan Magee with the 250th pick. Very fast guy. Plenty of speed for an inside linebacker. And we know how the Ravens are when it comes to speed. They love guys that can move. And he'd be a nice compliment potentially to Roquan Smith there in the inside. So there you have it. That is our Ravens mock draft. How did I do? Grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Anything less than an A, you're a hater. Give me your grades in the comment section below. So let's recap our Ravens mock draft. We went with Xavier Worthy at number 30. Went with Roger Rosengarten out of Washington at 62. Cam Hart at corner at 93. At 113, we went with Tykee Smith, the safety out of Georgia. At 130, we got an outside linebacker, Austin Booker out of the University of Kansas. And then for our final 4 selections, we went defensive end with Myles out of Texas Tech at 165. 218 went with Julian Pearl, the center/offensive guard out of Illinois. At 228, we went with Rasheen Ali, the running back out of Marshall. And at 250, we went with Jordan Magee, the inside linebacker out of Temple. So, what was your favorite pick of the 9 picks I made for your Baltimore Ravens in Mock Draft 4.0? Let me know in the comments section. Which one did you like the best of all these selections? Weigh in and let me know. Appreciate you joining us here on Ravens Rundown. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Tyler Jones Live. And I will see you next time with more draft coverage right here on Ravens Rundown.